infrastructure bill. And the latest on the Taliban takeover in Afghanistan. Also, Canada is now allowing Americans to cross the border for the first time since the pandemic began.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
4 state first responders are called to 2 drownings on lakes and rivers over the weekend. This is Koam News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, new details released in fatal water accidents in both southeast Kansas and southwest Missouri. We'll start in Montgomery County at the Elk City State Park. Officials say just before 7 Friday evening, Thomas Crittenden of Independence, Kansas, was on a boat when he jumped into the water and never resurfaced. Several agencies, including area residents with boats, assisted with the search. Saturday evening, around 5:30, first responders located Crittenden's body. Now, across the state line, officials say a 6-year-old boy drowned in the Elk River. According to Missouri State Highway Patrol, just before 2 p.m. on Friday, a 6-year-old from Kansas City waded out into the waters of Elk River near Knoll and was not able to return to shore. He was taken to Freeman Hospital and pronounced dead just before 4 Friday afternoon. Well, we're starting off the work week on a sizzling hot note. Let's go straight to Michael Hayslip with the first look at the forecast.
You know, the scary thing is we're going to finish the work week on a sizzling hot note. And what's in between it?
Hot.
Sizzling hot notes.
Yes.
Live look outside of Television City, where the clouds have kind of stuck around since this morning, but we've been able to stay out of any thunderstorm activity, despite the fact that we had some early rain up in the northern portion of southwest Missouri, but right now everything just tracking way to the south of us, so no worries really. In fact, for the entire afternoon, if any of those clouds do pop anything out, it's going to be 5 to 10 minutes, quick hitter. And you can tell by the severe thunderstorm risk map that even the marginal area that is the closest to us is really about around east of the Ozarks. Our temperatures right now, we're trying to throw up some 90s. We've got one on the board. That's out in Sedan. Everybody else sitting high 80s for the most part. We'll have additional 90s by the time we're all said and done. As the Skywatch Storm Tracker with the watches and warnings decides it wants to go into vibration mode and remind us that we've got those heat advisories all the way to the end of the week. And then, of course, that purple down there throughout northeast Oklahoma indicating an excessive heat warning. It'll feel anywhere from about 105 to 107 this afternoon as the heat penetrates up through the Gulf Coast. We're almost seeing it right now. Earlier, it wanted to hang around Iowa, now all the way up to the Canadian border through portions of North Dakota and through Minnesota as well. Our weather trend for today has us up into the mid-90s. Now, factor in not only the humidity, but that south wind. It's got a nice little breeze to it. But since it's coming from the south with all the warm temperatures, just adds on to how hot it's going to be this week. Most of the rain for tonight into Tuesday morning stays off to the east. Could see the eastern portion of southwest Missouri get a little rain, but no thunderstorm activity. And our 7-day forecast puts those alert days up all the way through Thursday. Coming up here in just a little bit, Tanya, we're not only going to talk about air quality, but also, too, what it feels like as the heat wave from late July rears its ugly head for the middle of August.
Yeah. Alert days. Just be safe out there. Hydrate, stay out of the sun if you can.
Pets and neighbors.
Yes. Thanks, Michael. The Senate reconvenes this afternoon after voting 68 to 29 last night to end debate on the $1 trillion infrastructure bill. And that tees it up for a final vote as soon as late tonight. The package includes $550 billion in spending on the nation's physical infrastructure, including roads, bridges, and broadband. A group of bipartisan senators worked on the deal, but at least one has said he intends to vote against it, expressing fiscal concerns. The Taliban is rapidly changing its offense in Afghanistan. The Islamists have shifted from the countryside to taking cities. This will be a true test for the Afghan government and military.
Rolling in on American-made Humvees, Taliban fighters capture their latest prize. Zaranj is one of 5 regional capitals the militants seized over the weekend. In the city of Kunduz, destroyed buildings still smolder from the fighting. The Taliban's flag can be seen flying victoriously over the city's central square. Afghanistan's ambassador is asking the UN for help.
As the situation in Afghanistan has been rapidly deteriorating, due to recent escalation of violence by the Taliban.
The Taliban's offensive kicked into high gear as the U.S. and other foreign forces pulled out. The Afghan military is fighting back. Officials say airstrikes by U.S. and Afghan forces are slowing the militants' advance. At the White House, Press Secretary Jen Psaki says they have what it takes to win.
The Afghan government and the Afghan National Defense Forces have the training, equipment, and numbers to prevail.
But many in Afghanistan aren't so sure. Hundreds of thousands have fled the fighting while hoping they'll have homes to return to. Ian Lee, CBS News.
Yesterday, a spokesman for the Taliban warned the U.S. against further intervention in Afghanistan. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, Canada eases its COVID restrictions at the U.S. border. And later, we're making a garden quinoa toss in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Canada is now allowing Americans to cross the border for the first time since March of 2020, if they are fully vaccinated. The U.S. has not said when Canadians will be allowed to enter the U.S. Meg Oliver is at Niagara Falls, right along the border in western New York.
This place is beautiful.
Yeah, we encourage people to come and see, honestly, yeah.
In Niagara Falls, Canada, the vast majority of the city's revenue comes from the summer tourist season, which is almost over. Mayor Jim Diodati says he grew frustrated as month after month went by and the U.S.-Canada border remained closed.
We're definitely going in the right direction, but I got to tell you, for a long time it was a dim light at the end of a very long tunnel.
Now our business went to literally zero.
Doug Burrell, the CEO of Niagara Hospitality Hotels, says he was forced to lay off most of his staff due to the drop in business from American visitors.
It just started to really creep back for us. And it's all domestic. So right now, it's a 100-mile radius, Toronto coming here to Niagara Falls, Canada. Right now, that's it. That's the market.
Starting today, U.S. travelers can cross into Canada if they show proof they are fully vaccinated on an app and have proof of a negative COVID test in the previous 72 hours.
As long as people are vaccinated, I think that's great.
For 53-year-old Mert LaBounty, the closed border has meant an 18-month separation from his girlfriend, Tammy Yonkers. The couple lives just 20 minutes apart, LaBounty on the U.S. side and Yonkers in Canada.
It is terrible for me. I came here in hopes of starting a life with her and starting a dream, and it's very hard to go every day without having her in my life.
It got so bad, LaBounty started suffering from depression. Yonkers was able to come to the U.S. in July to check on him, but instead of a quick drive, it took 2 planes and 2 buses for a total of 12 hours.
What kind of toll did this take on your mental health?
Oh, it's terrible. I had no hopes of, no energy to do anything. I just wanted to stay in one room, isolate, and just give up. That's all I wanted to do.
You wanted to give up?
Yes.
How emotional has this been for you, Tammy?
He came here to be with me. So it pains me all the time to know that he's there waiting for me.
But now their wait is over. As of today, LaBounty can cross the border to visit.
What's it going to mean when you finally get to go over and hold on to Tammy again?
It's just my whole world. You know, it's just, I feel like a better person when I'm with her.
Mert and Tammy now plan to live together. They just have to choose which side of the border. And an important note for children 12 years and younger, they can go into Canada with fully vaccinated parents. But for children 5 and over, they must be tested on the first day and the 8th day of their visit. Meg Oliver, CBS News, Niagara Falls, New York.
Well, still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
Say goodbye to ho-hum side dishes and hello to a fresh tasting one that goes with just about anything. Plus, it only takes minutes to throw together.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Well, for the most part, we knew it was on its way back. Mother Nature teased us there. She said, oh, at the end of July, I'll just cut off your heat wave. You guys turn the calendar and enjoy temperatures up in the 80s. I'll just take about, 7-8 days off. And then she decided, well, she's about to come back. A look at our daily almanac for this August the 9th. Now, we're not going to get anywhere close to our record high of 102 degrees that dates back to 1980, but look at that average high around 91 degrees. Well, it just so happens that we have not had one day in the entire month of August, albeit we're only 9 days in, but we have not had one day that's been above 92 degrees. Saturday we hit the 92 degree mark. That's as hot as it's been. Remember, average high should be 91. Hui. Okay. You know what they say about paybacks. In fact, our average high for this month has only been 86.5 degrees. So we're already way past that right now, as we've got 89 in Joplin and in Carthage, 87 in Miami and Oswego, and let's roll 89 in Chanute as well. Big difference between what we're going to experience this week compared to what we had at the end of July. July was where that humidity was stifling, and kind of one of those things where it's be like, hey, can we get a little breeze out of this? Well, we are going to get a good southerly breeze, if not actual wind here for the next several days as it comes in from the south. Right now we're sitting at about 10 to 15 miles per hour, and we'll end up with some gusts around 20 to 25 miles per hour this afternoon. As far as what it feels like, we've yet to get to that 100 degree mark, but we've got a whole bunch of 99s up there in Nevada and Stockton, throw 98 in Fort Scott and Pittsburgh, 97s ranging throughout as well. So it's just a matter of time before we get up there around the 105 this afternoon, and of course that's why we've got the heat advisory. Key factor about the heat advisory I want to point out, look at the expiration time. This is not going to end anytime soon. This thing runs all the way till Thursday. Now it's a little bit different here with the excessive heat warnings because that expiration is actually tonight, but not going to be surprised in the least if they don't just reinstate that for tomorrow. As we see these advisories stretch from really the Gulf Coast all the way up to central Iowa. But you'll notice northeast Oklahoma, a little bit of an anomaly there. The only excessive heat warnings that we have throughout the entire heat wave that's working its way from the Canadian border all the way down to South Texas. Abnormally warm temperatures. The ridge of the jet stream has moved a little bit more toward the Great Lakes compared to what we had during that July one where it was hanging over Big Sky country. But really, that just affects everybody in the upper plains. That doesn't play a role as far as what we feel being underneath the ridge. We did have a little thunderstorm activity early this morning. It didn't affect any travel. And really the majority of the action right now just on the north side of I-40, west of Fort Smith, in between Okmulgee and Fort Smith, if you will. And that's packing some lightning with it as well, but it's moving due east. It won't touch us. It'll head toward the Arkansas state line, and that's why when we get to the severe thunderstorm risk map, you see everything just kind of pushed off to the east of us. But we're going to talk here a little bit about our eastern counties of southwest Missouri before it's all said and done. We've been talking about the haze that was hanging over us last week when we did have the mild temperatures. It's like, what do we want, the heat wave or the haze? What do we do? Well, now that the heat wave is back, one nice thing, I guess, about it is the air quality map. We are clear as can be. In fact, just the yellow surrounding us doesn't even touch any of our counties. And luckily, we stay out of any of that orange category for the elevated breathing respiratory problems that we had last week. Still going to make it up into the mid-90s today. Like I said, wind coming in from the south, 20-mile-an-hour gusts. Overnight, wind backs off just a little bit. Temperatures do not back off. Here's what we were talking about with the eastern portion of southwest Missouri. Overnight into early Tuesday morning, could see just a raindrop or two, especially up to the northeast. But for the most part, we're going to stay on the dry side as everything moves on the other side of the Mississippi. And we just concern ourselves with staying safe in the heat because our alert days last all the way till Thursday.
Nice. Well, we got to stay safe out there. But
no,
I don't want to think about what it feels like, but you kind of have to.
We talked about last week that it was a coming. Mm-hmm. Now preparation times are over. Mm-hmm. Now it's a here.
We're acclimated to it now. It's just hot. All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Specialist Rex Mitchell in the U.S. Army. The Webb City native served with Company A, 234th Armor, stationed in Vietnam in 1967. Mitchell later served a tour in Germany. After 22 years, the soldier retired as a staff sergeant with the Missouri National Guard. To Rex Mitchell, we thank you, our four-state hero. Say so long to making that same boring old side dish. Howard shows us how to make something that's packed with light, bright, and beautiful flavor. We're making a garden quinoa toss in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
If your side dish lineup this time of year is baked beans, macaroni salad, and corn on the cob, and you just repeat these over and over, I think you'll love what we're whipping up today. It's a fluffy quinoa salad made with a collection of colorful veggies. And the best part, it goes with just about anything. We start by cooking some quinoa according to the package directions and cooling it. Then we add some cherry tomatoes that we cut in half, diced cucumbers, peeled or unpeeled, and some chopped red onion. Now we add a can of chickpeas that we drained really well. And to give this a fresh summery taste, we mix in a homemade vinaigrette that we made with a few off-the-shelf ingredients. After tossing all this together, we finish it off with some crumbled feta. Then we're good to go. You can serve this at room temperature or chilled if you prefer. Either way, this side dish is so fresh tasting and different, everyone will be asking for more. To get the recipe for our garden quinoa toss, simply check out our website. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a colorful change of pace way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Quinoa is so tasty too. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at koamnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4 state market prices.
Whole bunch of high 80s and low 90s already on the board. Heat advisories sticking around all the way through the later part of the week as we're going to roll mid 90s, feeling like 105 to 107 each day until we get to the weekend, and even that's only the high 80s.
All right, what do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, at 5, new research highlights postpartum depression and how it impacts both mothers and fathers. In Health Watch, why there's a need for more attention on mental health of new dads. Plus, as some students prepare to move into the college dorms, we're going to speak with BSU about procedures and protocols. And Victory Church hosts one of the biggest back-to-school events in southeast Kansas. Hope you join us for those stories. A whole lot more, of course. It's all coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Dow. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.